Nigeria's southwest zone has been plagued with violence following several ultimatums for illegal occupants of forest reserves to leave the forest. Well, in this special report, Arise News correspondent Ferdinand Doroha again tells us a brief history of the conflict.
Tension has been building in Nigeria's southwest geopolitical zone since the start of the new year following acrimonious relationship between communities and herdsmen. This is due to the increase in the spate of crimes like kidnapping, ransom taking and murder in the forest region, which have been attributed to some among the Fulani herdsmen. In Ondo State, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu gave an ultimatum to herders to vacate the forest reserves. This was, however, described as unconstitutional by the presidency. While in Oyo State, a radical intervention to quell the spate of crimes by the activist Sunday Adeyemo, also known as Igboho, led to more tension. Igboho had issued a 7-day eviction ultimatum to Fulani herdsmen in Igongon, Ibarapa North local government area of Oyo State. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, directed the Oyo State Commissioner of Police, Ngozi Onadeko, to arrest Igboho and transfer him to Abuja, following reports that some of his supporters destroyed houses and cars, including those of Saliu Kadri, the Seriki Fulani of Igongon. However, a dialogue between the police, Igboho, and some southwest leaders led to an amicable resolution. Interventions by other leaders from the zone have further improved the situation, including that of the Alafin of Oyo, Obalamidi Adeyemi, had in 2019 written to President Buhari warning on the consequences of the herdsmen criminality and impunity in Yoruba land. Nigerians would hope that these mediations, including a meeting between the Nigeria Governors Forum, the Yeti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, and some other mediators would put a finality to menace of marauding bandits across the nation. Ferdinand Doroha, Arise News.
We're now being joined by the Governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi. He's also the chairman of Nigeria Governors Forum. Governor Fayemi, good evening and welcome to Newsnight again. So let's start today's with today's meeting of stakeholders in the issue at hand regarding the ultimatum given to Fulani herdsmen to vacate the Ondo State forest. Governor, is the ultimatum stepped down and herdsmen can remain in the forest for as long as they want now?
Thank you, Kayode. The communique issued at the end of the meeting that we held today is self-explanatory. It's not about rampant and unchecked roaming about of anyone. In the first instance, as expressed in that communique, the governor of Ondo State made it clear that he was concerned about those occupying the forest reserve without permit, and that was not specifically targeted at herdsmen, but those masquerading as herdsmen. So there was no eviction order from the governor of Ondo State against Fulani herdsmen or any herdsmen for that matter. And the reporting of this at best was mischievous, it was sensational. And I think we should concentrate on the substance. How do we manage diversity and difference in our country? That's what the Nigerian Governors Forum is interested in. And we're interested in checking criminality in whatever hue or form it comes. Criminality has no ethnicity, coloration, and we should refrain from ethnic profiling of criminals. Let's focus on apprehending criminals and insisting on criminals being punished for their crimes, because that is really what concerns ordinary Nigerians. And our duty as governors is to ensure the security and welfare of Nigerians who reside within the jurisdiction that we're elected to govern.
Well, Governor Fayemi, just to follow up on the question that Kayode had asked you earlier, well, you just said that there was no ultimatum given to Fulanis. But are you saying that what we heard the governor say in terms of no one should be in the reserves, be you Fulani or whoever, but be you a herdman, you shouldn't be in the reserves? Are you telling us that that is not the ultimatum given?
Well, as a matter of fact, at our meeting today with the Miete Allah Cattle Breeders Association, they themselves are not averse to those in forest reserves being registered. They did not express any aversion to that. What they were concerned about was an indiscriminate eviction notice, and there was no eviction notice either against Fulani headsmen or against Igbira farmers or against any Nigerian living in Ondo State or any part of the Southwest for that matter. Those who chose to make a mountain out of a molehill are the ones responsible for this misperception and misconstrual of the governor's position. The governor is clearly concerned about security in his state. Many people have been kidnapped. Some have even been killed in the process. And he has a right, as the chief security officer of his state, to be worried and to do something about this, because that's why he is elected to office. That's why we're all elected, to protect the citizens and residents in our various states. So there's no need for him to apologize about that, and he didn't do that. All he stated was that he never issued an eviction notice to any Fulani or any ethnic group for that matter. And this matter really should be about the security of lives and property in a state.
Mr. Governor, we'll take a short break and we'll continue the conversation in just a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. We still have with us the Governor of Ekiti State and Chairperson of the Nigeria Governors Forum, Dr. Fayemi. Mr. Governor, I am finding it difficult to really understand what has just happened. I need a little bit more clearance to help Nigerians understand as to whether there was an ultimatum. What is the ultimatum that the governor gave, and who was it sent to if it is not the Fulani herdsmen that were said to have been encroaching in the reserves?
Okay, maybe I should explain that again to you. There was an ultimatum. The ultimatum was focused on all illegal occupants of the forest reserve in Ondo State. It was not an eviction notice against Fulani herdsmen living in Ondo State. The whole of Ondo State is not a forest reserve. There are designated forest reserves in Ondo State, and I think that's the area concerned in the ultimatum given. And it was an ultimatum to register. If you're not already registered and you're illegally occupying the forest reserve areas. And let's come down to brass tacks, Kayode. Even legitimate Fulani headsmen are victims of crime and criminality. Some of them are also being kidnapped by these criminals that we're talking about. And that is why I do not want us to focus on the ethnicity of criminals, but to treat criminals and brigands for who they are and bring them to book in accordance with the laws of the land. I think that's what needs to happen now. We have to be tough on crime, and we also have to be tough on the causes of crime. Some of the causes may be well beyond the role of the herdsmen themselves, because they are not being labeled as criminals. But we have challenges with desertification that is forcing many cattle breeders to look for grazing land that are more fertile, which inevitably happens to be more down south. You also have a proliferation of small arms and light weapons following the crisis in Libya and the ungoverned Sahel region. All of these are inextricably intertwined with the security crisis that we're confronting all over Nigeria, not just in the Southwest. I have had cause in the last month on behalf of the Nigerian Governors Forum to be in Borno State, to be in Katsina State, to be in Ondo State. These are different parts of Nigeria, and there are situations of insecurity in all these parts, including kidnapping, including banditry, including insurgency. So let's focus on insecurity and how to tackle insecurity. Don't let's engage in ethnic labeling or profiling.
Well, we definitely appreciate this explanation because, of course, there was a lot of tension all across the country because of that ultimatum. And, of course, it almost spiraled out of control. But some would say that this matter was made more complex than it ought to have been because the federal government actually waded into a state's matter. In your opinion, which is it? Is it a matter of the state or a federal issue?
Well, you know, the federal government is responsible for national security. It is on the exclusive list in our constitution. However, federal government does not have land anywhere. Land are held in trust on behalf of the people by the governors in various states. The areas in question are landed property that are under the control of governors, and governors have a responsibility, indeed a duty, to protect every resident and citizen that is utilizing the land. So trying to make a distinction between federal and state is really a non sequitur. Today at our meeting, we had federal representatives. There are police commissioners in our meeting. There are Amotekun commanders in our meeting. There are civil defense authorities in our meeting. For us, both federal institutions responsible for security and state outfits responsible for security ought to complement one another in order to achieve what our citizens want, which is maximum security that can allow development and economic progress in the land. That is what is being affected by this unfortunate insecurity in the country.
Mr. Governor, with what has happened now, will this serve as a template for resolving issues in the future? Are we expecting the outcome of this meeting with Miyetti Allah to be the template whenever there are issues of insecurity and concerns? Our Governors Forum will meet with Miyetti Allah and the stakeholders, and then we'll have a solution. Is this going to be the template going forward, looking for peace?
Well, you know, Miyetti Allah and government have been involved. We need to strengthen the partnership for peace. But Miyetti Allah, to the best of my own knowledge, they've always been actively involved in conflict management and conflict resolution. The president of Miyetti Allah, the national president, informed the meeting in Akure today that he was just returning from Yobe, where he had gone on a similar mission to work with the government of Yobe and stakeholders in order to stem the tide of insecurity in Yobe State. And they do this almost on a regular basis. I know for a fact, because they've been in my own state, they've been involved in conflict management since Governor Fayoshe's era, and they continued when I took over as governor in the state. So I'm not so sure the terminology to use for this is a template, but we need to strengthen partnership. We need to build bridges of understanding, and we need to avoid ethnic profiling so that Miyetti Allah, Ondo State citizens, Nigerians as a whole, can sleep with their two eyes closed, and the security agencies can go after criminals without minding whose ox is God, regardless of their origin or their status or their religion, because that is not relevant to criminality. What should be relevant to us is how can we strengthen security and ensure that we protect our citizens from this avoidable and unfortunate development, and create economic opportunities, because we also must acknowledge that crime is also linked to poverty, is also linked to lack of opportunities, and we must provide much more opportunities for our citizens so that they can focus on livelihood development rather than looking for opportunities for criminal engagement.
We need to fast forward a little bit, but we have to retrace our steps. We know that the Alaafin of Oyo wrote a really strongly worded letter recently to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari. What would you say about the allegations that were contained in that particular letter, indicating that there are criminal elements amongst the Fulani headsmen who have killed people, and nobody is being arrested, nobody is being taken to court, and nobody is being sent to jail for any of these incidents in recent time, according to the Alaafin, and that's why he was calling that there's got to be a way to resolve this issue.
I don't think that even Miyetti Allah, today in the meeting that we held with them, denied that there aren't criminals that are of Fulani origin. They didn't say that there aren't any. What they're saying is that it is not Fulanis that have consciously come together to say they want to terrorize or criminalize particular regions or states. I can tell you from our own experience in Ekiti that we have had kidnappers that are of Fulani extraction arrested and taken to court and convicted. But we have also had Yoruba citizens feigning kidnapping, including a reverend of a particular denomination who feigned his own kidnapping and then sent us on a wild goose chase until we discovered that he was the one responsible for organizing his own kidnapping. So really, that's why it's so dangerous to engage in ethnic profiling. Regardless of whether it's a Fulani or a Yoruba or an Igbo citizen, as long as you're a criminal and you're responsible, you should be apprehended, and the full weight of the law should be brought on you. Don't let's say, I haven't read Alaafin's letter in detail, but I have a great deal of respect for Alaafin of Oyo because it speaks truth to power always. And there is no doubt that some of the facts contained in his letter are true, the bits that I've read. But I don't think that is the whole truth about this situation. And I don't think Alaafin was saying that is the only thing. But what Alaafin, I believe, was arguing against is impunity. And that's precisely what the Nigerian Governors Forum is also saying. Those who have been found guilty of crime related to brigandage, to banditry, to criminality should be brought to book. And the police and other law enforcement agencies must do their job. Clearly, as we noted in the communique, they've been trying their best, but the best is not good enough. They need to do more in order to apprehend these criminals.
Absolutely, and of course, without punishment, punitive measures in place, criminals will just run riot. And of course, when there's a lot of crime, there's no prosperity in any part of the country. But Mr. Governor, before we let you go, let's talk about one hot issue. Now, restructuring is something you've always supported, but the stands of your party were not too sure. But let's have a quick conversation about these speculations that you're planning to run for elections in 2023, and that the Southwest wing of the APC is insisting that there is a gentleman's agreement within the party to zone the presidency to the Southwest. What? Does that agreement still stand to the best of your knowledge? Briefly, sir.
Well, you said a gentleman's agreement. I wasn't there when this agreement was put together, but if it's a gentleman's agreement that was not written, then it's my word against the words of anyone who has come up with that. But what is clear in our party is that our party is a party of equal opportunities, and our party wants to, of course, reflect the mosaic nature of our country in everything that we do, which, in other words, is what is known as federal character in the Constitution of Nigeria. So clearly, if some people feel that that agreement has been there, I really don't have any issue to take up with such elements. Well, what I do know and what I stand by as a member of the APC is that we have excellent Nigerians from all parts of Nigeria. I was the one who presided over the primaries in 2014 December. That was won by candidate Muhammadu Buhari. And there were candidates from other parts of the country in that primary who contested. It was not limited to a particular section of the country, but President Buhari overwhelmingly won that particular primary and eventually became the president of the country. So for us, what is important to us is to strengthen the bonds of unity and to ensure that our party carries the day in the next election with whoever we're putting forward as the candidate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Governor, Governor of Ekiti State, the chairperson of the Nigeria Governors Forum. We're most grateful for the time that you have chosen to spend with us today. There are still loads of issues that we have to deal with. Thank you for coming.